Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0 Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Welcome back to the 3-0 Take, presented by Big League Chew. This is episode 323. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Nate Reyes and Ryan Ripken. The first pod of the offseason. World Series in the books. Nate couldn't be more excited.
It's just stupid. It's just a stupid ending. Stupid.
Yeah, I mean, what a letdown. I mean, what a tease that was. Yeah. You take us to Game 6, Phillies, and then you just... I mean, not to just dive right into it, but you got Kyle Schwarber bunting with 2 strikes and nobody on. I mean, that, for me, I think was the moment where I threw in the towel.
Down 3 in the, 8th?
I don't know what we were doing there. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I had no interest in watching after that. I mean, I did, because I'm a sicko when it comes to that stuff. I'll just watch anyway. But I mean, what a tease. I hated it.
So the straw that didn't break the camel's back, or your back in this metaphorical case, was not when Alvarez hit the ball over the batter's eye?
No, because, and Ryan, you may or may not have seen Nate's clip from last episode, but he brought up a good point at the end where he was talking about if Philly's going to do it, this is the most fitting way possible. To do it, you got to take both in Houston to finish off this incredible, magical season. And so even when Yordan hit his 3-run homer, I was like, you know what? I mean, we're getting down into crunch time here, and we're kind of pushing the envelope on Nate's little monologue from last episode, but I'm still going to hold out hope that there's a little bit of truth to that. And it didn't pan out. But to answer your question, no, that did not do it for me just yet.
Just yet. Because this is the thing I'd argue. I thought it was a great point by Nate, actually, because that would have been the classic way. You go on the road, you secure the win. Shout out to you, Nate. Didn't happen, but shout out the thought process. I thought it was because when Schwarber hit another missile out, which he had been doing every single series in the postseason, it felt like that was the moment of where it got tense in Houston. And then just for it, in the blink of an eye, I felt like Philly's hearts got just ripped out of them because Zach Wheeler pitched a phenomenal game. And then as soon as he came out in that situation, I felt that just broke Philly. That was too much for them to finally overcome. And it turned out that, Philly didn't have one more magical run left in them.
Yeah.
I picked Houston, so
you went chalk the entire postseason. So
TV timeout. No, my time, 30 seconds here. Look, I went with who was
I'll give you the full timeout if you need it, because
I'll give the full. I'll give you a full timeout. You're right. It would have been awesome to see Philly win it, especially how electrifying their playoff atmosphere alone brought. And honestly, they were a great example from the season that they had. Whether you like the format or not, Philly got in. They fired their manager. Bryce Harper gets hurt. They squeak in, get hot, bring everyone on a crazy ride, which was so much fun. But then the Houston Astros, even with the delayed days off, sweep their way through the American League, get put on the brink where I thought Philly wins one more game at home after game 3. I think they win the series. And Houston answered the bell, pun intended. Sorry, Philly fans. And they proved that they were the most consistent team in baseball from year in and year out, and they earned it. They deserved it. Hats off to the Astros.
Right, and that's boring. That's my whole point.
Boring.
And I know it sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm pretty sure 95% of baseball fans are with me on that. It was boring.
No one that's not a Houston fan.
It was the world against Houston, and everybody knew that, and Houston knew that. And even if you're not a Phillies fan, nobody wanted to see the Astros win. And for it to end the way it did, like they gave us a little bit of a rush there. Like the Phillies made us feel a little something. It wasn't a cakewalk for Houston, but at the end of the day, it was.
At the end of the day, it was bad for baseball.
It was bad for baseball. And to use a word that Nate texted me shortly after the game, like I was just numb. I was like, I don't feel anything. Like this isn't exciting.
Yeah.
That was the least amount of effort I've put into a World Series victory graphic after the World Series. It was just like my standard template. And I'm like, all right, I'll throw up champions, put a picture of a couple of the guys, and I'm going to call it a night and go back to watching like the third Jurassic Park movie that we had to put on pause for the game. So all that to say, it just wasn't exciting, especially seeing it at home. Like there wasn't even an element of excitement with that. It's not like you silence the Philly crowd. It's like, oh, okay, Houston faithful is going crazy, yada yada yada. They do the thing. Oh yeah, Houston, we're the greatest. Ring the bell. And that was the other thing it got to me, or it shouldn't have gotten me, but it did. Is like the trolling after the fact. Like Houston's Twitter account, Christian Vasquez, which kind of caught me by surprise. Like he's tweeting like we're dancing on our own, ring the bell, using some of like Philly's things. I'm like, why are we picking on Philly? Like I get it if you just swept the Yankees in the ALCS and you want to throw some shots, which they did. I'm like, I get that, but like, come on, who's really picking on Philly here? Did Philly really run their mouth to the point where it warranted all this, like using their own medicine against them? I don't know. The whole thing, I hated it all. It just sucked.
Well, the Philly team didn't bring that upon the Astros, but definitely the Philly fan base was all out at the Astros. I mean, every fan base has been out for the Astros. Look, the trolling part for me might have gotten too far. At some point, I agree with you on that. It was too much. But what I think at some point, I mean, for you guys, I mean, I get it. It's boring. And the biggest thing is everyone just doesn't like the Astros for 2017. We're not sugarcoating. It has 100%, 1,000,000% with 2017. At what point do we say the Houston Astros are a great team and we're going to stop hating them? Is that ever going to get to a point for you or either of you? Well, Nate, I already know the answer, but for you, right?
I think we've stated our case on here. Like if you're asking Nate and myself, I think we've made it clear that we're beyond the trash can jabs. Like at this point, it's tired, it's lazy, I don't know.
But I guess more so now,
ignorant.
it's the success. It's like tied in. The only thing the comparison I see it right now at the Astros, not to the same extent, was the Patriots when everything that happened with Deflategate and Spygate with Belichick and Brady, right? And then there was greatness involved within maybe some issues, but people just hated the Patriots. I didn't like the Patriots. I'm a Ravens fan, and it bothered the heck out of me. But is that what we're starting to see? Like it's a boring thing. It's like, yeah, it's great, but you don't care. Like, is that ever going to change until someone else comes in that's always going to be rooting against Houston?
Until that roster is completely overhauled, in my mind. Yeah. And I think the hardest part is that like it's not necessarily about 2017. It's more about, for me anyway, and I think a lot of baseball fans can hop on board, is that it's about the fact that there was no consequences. It's the fact that we watched them continue to succeed, and now they're sitting on top of the world. And it's like, you know what? You never had anything bad go wrong. Like nothing went wrong for you guys. You know what I mean? Nothing outside of your GM and your manager, nothing went wrong. And your minuscule fine. Yeah, your ridiculous fine that was chump change. It's just like, it's such a slap in the face to watch this team remain cocky, remain, dominant. And it's not that we're disagreeing with the fact that they're a good ball club. We all know that they're a good ball club, but it hurts to watch because it's like nothing ever happened to you guys. And now this ridiculous dynasty conversation has been thrown out, and I can't even begin to understand why people consider this a dynasty.
Well, this is the thing that you bring up a good point. And so you're upset with the lack of ramifications. So is this
Correct.
an Astros
I feel like
problem, or is this
Ryan's
more of a
playing-
Major League Baseball?
Ryan's playing like the therapist role here. I like this. This is nice.
I do
Like
too.
Nate and I are on our couches.
Finally.
This is therapeutic.
Whatever you
lean
need
back,
before.
close
I've
your
been
eyes.
away from you guys for a couple episodes, and I'm sorry. And this is maybe just get it out there. But it seems like this pent up frustration or emotion so it's because of the lack of ramifications. So I'll ask again: is this should more blame be on Major League Baseball? Because no matter what, now it's the Astros first, and Major League Baseball is now the second or third. Like that's the back. It's the the back mirror.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously we all find our issues with Major League Baseball, and it definitely has to be a part of the equation. And that's why I mentioned earlier that this is bad for baseball. Good for baseball would have the Phillies winning it. The expanded playoffs, they're the last team in. Rob Manfred would have checked all boxes, right? He would have done pushed all the right buttons. And this was like anti-move, and it's annoying specifically for American League fan bases. You know what I mean? And it's just like constantly running into this buzzsaw. And it's like the buzzsaw shouldn't have been there. And I hate the cockiness of current Astro guys that were part of 2017, former Astro guys that were part of 2017 that are going and getting ridiculous paychecks. I don't understand why it hurts so much, but it hurts to my core. I hate it. I hate it all. It was stupid. And I'm not over it. So
I'm not gonna, I don't want to say stoop, but I'm not going to give in to the reaction that I know Astros fans want from the entire baseball world right now. And that's to just sit here.
That's the other thing,
and
dude.
Cry and whine about it. And I'm not saying that's what Nate's doing. I'm just saying generally I've seen a lot of that. And the immediate response is keep crying, champs forever. You can't take this one away from us. And it's like, there is such, and look, I don't care. I know I've said I hated it all, but I don't care about this World Series. Good for Houston, whatever. Good for their fans. I don't care. But for the fans to sit there and to just let us have it, it makes no sense to me, because at a certain point you have to acknowledge, that there's such a blindness there that you can't even admit, you can't acknowledge what was wrong, what happened was wrong.
Yeah.
And you're gonna completely 180. You're gonna turn your back on that and just let these, like Nate said, specifically American League fan bases have it with such an arrogance behind it.
Right.
It's like, okay, whatever. We'll just wait till this party's over and then
I don't understand why there couldn't have been, we see it in college football, right? The bans for bowl games. When you break the rules, there has to be, there was no, they continued to dominate. That's what was frustrating for me. They immediately bounced back and they're A-okay. And there was nothing that affected the cockiness and arrogance of the fan base in the core group, but it's it's annoying. It sucks. It sucks.
I will say the 5-year spread, I feel like diluted it a little bit for me. If this would have happened, say the whole COVID year didn't happen and we just had a regular season in 2020 and they would have maybe won in 2020, I would have been like, okay, I've got a real issue here. But we were getting to the point where it's like, I mean, I was already at that point, and my quote graphic went viral on Facebook because all the old heads were getting on there being like, okay, buddy, when I was talking about how fans are using this as a crutch, the fan bases of opposing teams are using 2017 as a crutch, and they don't want to admit that the 2022 Astros were the most complete team in baseball. I I don't know. 2020, like as I was saying, 2022. I was getting to the point where I was okay with it. I was like, it's been far enough. We're far enough removed, for me at least. We're far enough removed to where it's like we have to just acknowledge what took place, what happened, and how good of a baseball team they were. But people just don't want to do that, and that's fine. Like if that's the approach they want to take, that's fine. But like at a certain point, we're gonna have to move on. And again, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody on this call in particular. I'm just saying, like as a baseball world, we're gonna have to get past the whole once cheaters, always the cheaters, because you can't assume that they're cheating every single season, because that's lazy. And that says more about how insecure you are about your own team, that you're not willing to support them to the point where you're just going to throw the crutch of the Astros cheating scandal on the Astros and say, well, I know my team isn't good enough to beat the Astros, even though I can pretty much assume they're not cheating, but I'm just going to throw that on them instead anyway. I don't know.
You know, this just feels to me like the Patriots. Like it just feels like it. Like I think the thing that bothered people more was the reaction. I think the fans' reactions to
right.
And that's like I'm not gonna say it's an entitlement, but it's they want to prove to you that we're still good. Keep hating, and I think that's the same thing. To flip the gear a little bit, because it's the one player that. Well, I was rooting for Trey Mancini, and I'm super happy for him, for winning, for everything he's gone through. Had a really tough postseason, but just a great guy, and I'm so glad that he had an impact play, obviously in game, what was it, 4 or 5? Anyway, the other player though,
play it first, game 5,
yeah, and so like it was great for him, and Trey will never be. I will never change my opinion with Trey. I'm so happy for him. But the guy that I really like on the Astros is Pena. I love the way he handled himself. And maybe that's the next wave of Astros where it's not that. If you hear the guy talk, and obviously he let his play do the talking, but maybe that's what it's going to be, because right now he was the main reason, and he's a fresh new face.
Well, before we get into the World Series MVP and all the accolades and everything, I just want to wrap up this dynasty conversation, because I know Nate brought it up and I didn't feel like we really got into it. But what is the general sentiment here on that conversation?
No.
Because I have a very strong feelings about it, but I was curious how you all felt about it. And I feel like Ryan was probably going to be a little different.
Am I going to be different?
I feel like I know where your head's at, but I'm curious to hear if it differs.
I think winning is extremely challenging. I don't think that we put that into perspective enough. You know, if you go back to dynasty is attributed to continued success, and usually people expect multiple championships, and where it's going to be conflicting for Houston is how do you view the 17 championship? How do you view their World Series title, which most people don't. It's an asterisk next to it for most people. So for me, I'm right in the middle of saying the dynasty, and if you made a point otherwise, I could completely understand. But let's just say it as it is. They've been to 4 World Series, right? 4 and 6 years. Is that the correct number? So they've won 2. That's what the records say.
6 consecutive ALCS appearances.
So if you could go with both, I could live with either one, but you cannot take away that whatever they are doing is something that is rare in the sport. We just don't see it. It's not like, what was the Braves record of how many divisional titles they won in a row or something like that? Like, what my point is, the Braves didn't win all those years. What the Astros did, the Astros are constantly there. And then I think at some point we're realizing, like, as great the Yankees' problems, the Yankees make the playoffs most years. Red Sox do too. But they don't get to the ALCS most times. They don't go back to the World Series. But they win them when they do at times. Well, not the Yankees. But, right? That's the point. So I think that whatever you want to view it as, please understand that it's still a special accomplishment. that should be respected, whether you like him or not.
All right, I'm gonna need diplomatic Ryan to step over the line here and make a decisive decision here on whether or not he believes the Astros are a dynasty. Because you just played the listeners like a fiddle. They're sitting there.
It's not playing the. Like I said, I would like to believe that what they've accomplished is dynasty, because they did win 2 championships, whether you like it or not. But if someone were to argue to me that they don't like the asterisk, I just don't see many other teams moving forward that are going to go to 6 straight ALCSs, 4 World Series, and come away with 2 titles. I don't see it. But if you are
even if we're gonna be okay with the 2017 World Series ring, even if we're okay with it, it can't be defined as a dynasty when you have a different GM, a different manager, and you have maybe 5 guys on your roster from the last one. It's just not enough of the core group that's held together to be qualified as a dynasty in my mind.
Your shortstop from the first World Series was doing post-game coverage on TBS. So, like,
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
What are we really doing here? And look, I still don't know if Ryan has committed to an answer yet. I don't know if I don't know if the jury's still out on that. But for me,
should be a politician.
Look, I mean, the election day is Tuesday. It might be a little bit too late this year. I wouldn't get many votes, but
I believe in you.
Ryan Ripken 2022. No, look, Houston Astros, best team in baseball, absolutely.
Sure.
A dynasty, that requires more than one legitimate championship. I'm sorry. You can talk to me all you want about ALCS appearances. What does that mean? Unless you're the last team standing. You could make it to 20 ALCS appearances consecutive. But if you didn't win a single one of those, are we really talking dynasty here? And I'm not saying that's what's happened here, because the sample size is obviously much smaller. But you have one legitimate championship.
So you got to have the key pieces. You got to have the key pieces in place. If you have different pieces, it doesn't make any sense.
All right, I'm gonna dig in a little bit right here, because it's saying one legitimate, and this is where I get the Red Sox. Obviously, were in a little bit of a controversy in their last World Championship. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
There's a little bit of controversy going on with them. So my point is, in the record books, it is 2 championships for the Houston Astros. They have been to 4 World Series in 6 years. So take out the ALCSs. You've been to 4 World Series. What other teams have been to 4 World Series in 6 years in recent year? Maybe do we have Baseball Reference in our minds plugged in?
But that's my point. Do we define dynasty on World Series appearances now? Like, is that what we're doing here?
But they got 2. I think right now, if we're going to take in the last one in baseball was the Yankees. If you're going to consider dynasty with Jeter, is that
and why were they considered a dynasty?
Yeah, they won what? They won
3.
It's 3, right? They won back to back. They're the last team to win
4
back to back.
4 and 5. I think they went 6 straight.
Okay. So, but they're the last team to win.
They missed in 97. 96, 98, 99, 2000. They went back in 2001.
Yeah.
They lost in 2001, obviously.
They're the last team to repeat, and they're the last team to win that amount of championships in that time frame. So, to that point, yes, if that's going by the standard, the Astros then in the last 20 years are the closest thing that we have seen. And next year, what happens? They go to the World Series again to win. They have to be a dynasty. Whether you had any doubts, they go and win a World Series again in the next 2 years.
The dynasty conversation can change. I'm saying at the current moment.
Okay, yeah. and that's a fair argument, but I'm going to say right now, that is the closest thing we've seen in 20 years. If they win in the next 2 years, you can't debate it. It can't be debated. Baseball we've seen, it is so hard. They are the closest thing we've seen to it. And I sound like I'm an Astros fan here, and I know Kyle's just looking at me and just he's ruminating something in his mind. He's going to share.
No, it's just like I don't know. You're very much coming at this from the standpoint of what the history books say now. The history books say that the Astros were World Series champions in 2017 and now 2022. But I think we can all agree, whether you're an Astros fan or the biggest Astros hater, that 2017 was not legitimate. And if what Astros fans say are true, which I have to believe it is, if they say, well, it's not like we're the only ones, that's true. But then let's look at the legitimacy of these other World Series. That doesn't make yours any better. Like, that doesn't make yours any less legitimate. That's my entire point. So to me, and this isn't me, because I know it's just I can hear it now. Well, the salt from this guy. It's not that. But you have to come to terms with the fact that the Astros in the last 6 years have one legitimate World Series in their franchise history, have one legitimate World Series. And a point that nobody's talking about is, who's to say again, I've been preaching this in the comments. The odds of it, in my opinion, are very slim that we would find out years later about another scandal this year. But who's to say that doesn't happen? We don't know. And so as of right now, we know what we know, and we know that they were just a really good team. But who's to say couple years down the road, we don't see a similar situation with 2017?
Last thing I'll say with it, I agree with I agree with some of the points. You guys make good points. You guys are very well thought out individuals. But I do think the point what drives it home more for people, that makes it harder to get on board with any of it, is the reactions from the people that really do support the Astros. It's the reactions that are bothering people more. Not specifically to me, the team. It's the, like you said, the entitlement or the arrogance about we're showing. I think that is bothering people more now than people want to say. Because I feel like if that didn't happen, more people would consider that what the Astros have accomplished is more special than it gets credit for.
I would have more respect for Astros fans if the sentiment following Game 6 would have been, all right, we can breathe now. We made it to the mountaintop. We took care of business. We did what we had to do. We are undisputed world champions. But it was just, we're back. We did it again. That's 2 in the books. Let's keep this dynasty rolling. It's like, that's not reality. It's a very flawed, distorted reality in Houston. And I'm not saying all fans down there feel that way. There are some that had that reaction where it's like, okay, we can breathe. We did it the right way. We had Dusty at the helm. We did it the right way. But majority of them, not so much.
I am happy for Dusty.
I'm happy for Dusty. I'm happy for Trey. But I'll be honest with you, it didn't. I thought that would help me. I'd be able to pinch my nose a little bit and get through it just based on those two guys. But it wasn't enough. I was like, this is great and all, but it didn't do it for me.
How quickly did you turn it off after the last out?
Oh, I'm like almost immediately. I was like, let me get
as soon as Tucker caught it, right?
Yeah,
I think the last thing I saw was Yordan like in the outfield with his arms up, and then I was like, I'm out.
I think the last thing I saw was I want to say I saw Schwarber at the top step. Him and Cassie were up at the top step, just kind of soaking it in. I was like, okay, I've seen what I needed to see here.
Yeah,
I will say I get goosebumps. I didn't get a chance to watch the final out live, and I try to every single World Series to watch it, because it reminds me of why I wanted to play and to see the hard work that everyone puts in. So I couldn't speak on that one this time, and I get it, but I still think that is one of the coolest moments coming together. And if you go back and look at a lot of the World Series and how much it means, I still think it's great. I really do.
Very insignificant pet peeve of mine, but I hate when the final out of the World Series is in foul territory. Like, I don't know why that bothers me so much, but I'm like, We played 162 regular season games. We played an entire postseason, an entire World Series just to come down into a foul out. Like, give me a strikeout, give me a fly out, a ground ball, give me like a Chris Bryant to Anthony Rizzo-esque play. Give me something.
When was the last
fly out and foul territory?
Foul territory.
Pablo Sandoval?
Yeah, that's immediately the first one that comes to mind. Him just catching it like in the coach's box or close to the logo there and just falling to the ground. I don't know. It just bugs me. It doesn't happen all that often, but it just really bugs me.
Charlie Hayes in '96 with the Yankees, same thing.
It's anticlimactic for sure in the sense that it's because if it drops, the play keeps going. You know, it doesn't feel like the storybook, the fairy tale way a game's gonna end. I'm with you on that. It's different. Definitely is.
Did you see the dugout cam of all the coaches celebrating around Dusty? I don't know if you noticed, but like Dusty
somewhere down at the bottom,
because Dusty keeps score, and so it was like the first, like even after everyone's still celebrating, he just takes his pencil, writes down the final part of the book.
I don't think he saw ball hit mitt. I really don't. I think he was
I think he just immediately went there. Yeah.
Hearing all the noise, make sure he finished his game out. The book was done, and then he was already mobbed before he could pick his head up.
Yeah. You just have to know you're getting mobbed like immediately. So you're like, all right, let me get this last.
That part I couldn't help but smile for sure, because that's a baseball lifer. That's a through and through legend. You know what I mean? Been in a lot of clubhouses in many different roles. And it's good to see that kind of guy that's just like, you deserve that for sure. It just sucks that it came with the jersey that you're wearing.
Yeah, all in all, I'll be honest with you, the Phillies did not give me much life.
Dude,
those
they just
last
laid it
couple
down.
Games. Like there was I don't know, I can't exactly pinpoint it at what point in the series it happened. It was very likely maybe in the middle of one of the earlier games. But there was a point where it was just a very distinct drop off, just in energy, in life, in output. Yes, the Astros are a good team, but you gotta give me something a little more than that. And again, for me, it comes back to that Schwarber bunt attempt. Like, what are we doing? What are we trying to make happen? There's nobody on base. There's 2 strikes and 2 outs. I don't know. I really don't.
Game 3 was the ultimate pinnacle for the Phillies this World Series. That was peak frenzy in Philly, going nuts. And then you're right. It honestly felt like from Game 4 on, it felt like it was getting knocked down a level. It was just slowly. It was a slow death.
Yeah, but I mean, even the combined no hitter, which isn't a real no hitter, by the way. Like, after that game, you come back literally the first at bat at home, and you have a Kyle Schwarber leadoff home run. So it's like even that, and again, we've already talked about this, but that was following the night before where Kyle Schwarber follows it up and says, I really don't care about a combined no-hitter. Like, cool, we'll be in the history books, whatever. Shows up the next night, hits a leadoff home run. I'm like, okay, we're good. Like, I don't say we, but like Phillies, they're good. They're in good shape. They'll be fine. We'll see how this game plays out. But I think at some point after that leadoff home run, there was a drop off, and it was slow, it was sad, and it was not life-giving. I'll say that much.
Well, they fed off of Harper. Harper was everything. Schwarber obviously had the most, if you look at it from the beginning to the end, had a great postseason. Harper was the heartbeat, obviously the home run to send them to the World Series. And you could feel their whole roster was pressing more as the games went on. And if Castellanos got off to a great start in the postseason, he started to fall off.
Just lazy at bats.
I was actually just looking through the box scores. You had game 4, 5, and 6. Rhys Hoskins was 0 for 12. Bryce was 1 for 8. Castellanos was, I think, 1 for 11.
And for them to win this series, they needed their big bats to do it. That's how they got to the World Series. And yes, their pitching was solid, but those big bats were the reason they got there. And when they weren't there and their main guys, it was deflating to the team. Like Schwarber was the only person, but Schwarber goes about his business where he's Schwarber, and that's exciting, but it's not the same type of energy that Harper's home runs or Hoskins hitting a homer and then throwing the bat 300 miles an hour at the ground. It's different.
Yeah.
And it was tough. I do feel for Phillies fans, but I will say this. If you're a Philly fan, you got to be ecstatic about what the team did and where they're going. This could be something that you can continue to build on.
I mean,
moving forward.
But I guess my question for you guys is the 2023 version of the Philadelphia Phillies going to be the 2022 version of the San Francisco Giants?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm fearful for. I think we got, like we talked about, right? This was the best team in baseball versus the hottest team in baseball. They got hot at the right time. I don't think we can all sit here and say that they were the best team in the NL.
No, absolutely not.
No.
I don't know. I don't see them. And I mean, it's going to take some interesting moves. Like, I'm curious to see if they go get one of the big shortstops. They need another arm in the rotation. And they probably bolster the bullpen just a little bit. So it's like, it takes a lot of work. And I know Dombrowski loves spending money, but like, I don't know how much they have left.
It will be interesting. You're right. It's hard to replicate going back to a World Series. We just talked about how hard it is to repeat. Getting back there for another year. And that's why I gave credits. We're done talking about the Astros, but that's why I gave credit to. It's going to be hard. In Philly, the Braves will be back. The Mets will be competitive again.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers aren't going to go away. The Giants should bounce back. The NL is going to be very strong. But having said that, the Phillies, now you got over that hump of the expectation with the stars you brought in. Now you can do it. Harper broke his narrative as well. Can't perform in the postseason. And we found, he proved that he can do more than that. He's an MVP player both in the regular season and postseason. So I wouldn't be surprised. In this new playoff format, it's going to be really interesting because right now you just got to get in. Philly just showed you just have to get into the dance.
Mm-hmm.
And then see how long you can dance and hopefully be the last one standing. They were close.
Yeah, you're talking about having your day made if you're working in MLB HQ, seeing what the Phillies did with this new opportunity.
Right.
Like it literally couldn't be a better scenario or outcome for that. Obviously, if you win the whole thing, but pretty much gave you exactly what you were hoping for with this expanded postseason. And people, again, we've talked about this, but people that want to complain about the format, that's literally why we play the game.
Yeah.
If you want to dwindle it down to where we have two teams coming out of each league, if you want to have some sort of college football bracket here, like, sorry, you're in the wrong sport. And while I've made it clear, I don't want 18 teams making it to the postseason. For people that complain about teams get hot that maybe didn't have a great year, like I said, they had to at least stay above water. Like the Phillies, it's not like the Phillies came in as like a 300 winning percentage ball club. Like they had to at least win baseball games. And they were just able to out narrative some of these other teams with narratives. The Dodgers coming in as, and I'm not saying specific matchups, but the Phillies basically did what these other teams with other narratives couldn't do. The Dodgers coming in just as this world beater ball club. How'd that work out? The Padres, who were supposed to be all that, how did that work out? The Mets, not going to waste my breath. It's just an example of
perfect.
It's why we play the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's why we play the game. And
the nice thing is that the Eagles are crazy good, so they can just chill. Like Phillies fans can be upset for a couple days.
It's a good time to be a Philly. First off, it's a good time to be a Philly fan because, or actually, I'll just say, if you're in a city where you have multiple sports, you have a better chance of a positive outcome. Yes, you could have a lot of more heartbreaks, but you have teams, and all of them, the Phillies teams are competitive. The Phillies, though, with the MLB format moving forward, it's going to give so many teams like the Phillies a fighting chance. Honestly, you talked about the Giants. The Giants were really banged up, couldn't get it together. but then they started to play a little bit better towards the end of the season. They just ran out of season. There's going to be the same scenario next year, and I think it's going to be exciting. But also, I think this was a great, how the outcome, what worked out. There was the talk about how, this format, it's going to destroy the teams that earn the bye. The good thing with the Astros in that case, they proved the narrative, hey, we can have the bye. We can have the days off. We'll still win. And on the flip side, so you had the best of both worlds. You had a team that said it didn't matter. We're going to figure it out. We had one team that said, well, the door's cracked open this much. Let's break it open. And it did. So that's kudos to Major League Baseball. It made it exciting. And no matter what, I get it. But as we talked about, playoff atmosphere is just a different breed across any American sport. It is. And the more that people can see and lay eyes on that, the better. So, and I think and that gave us Philly, and we might not be talking about this at all if this didn't happen. So thank you to MLB for that, and thank you for Philly for balling out.
And thank you to Big League Chew for sponsoring the 3-0 Take podcast, Nate.
Founded by former left-handed pitcher Rob Nelson, Big League Chew started from humble beginnings in the Portland Mavericks bullpen in 1977. For more than 40 years, the iconic pouch is packed with shredded, flavorful bubblegum has become the number one shredded gum of athletes everywhere. Big League Chew has sold more than 900 million pouches and is designated as the Hall of Fame bubblegum. Grab some gum and head to Big League Chew's social media channels at Big League Chew, on Twitter at Big League Chew Gum, on Instagram to show off your Big League bubbles. You can also find a list of retailers who purchase any of their products directly from their website at bigleaguechew.com. BLC.
Big League Chew. All right. The aftermath. Jermy Pena named World Series MVP. There was, I wouldn't say controversy, but there was some talk about maybe some other deserving candidates. I think Framber Valdez was one of the ones at the top. Are we in agreement with Pena as the selection there? The first rookie position player to win the award?
I thought him or Valdez for how they I really thought those were the two.
Yeah, I guess. I think it was just a lot of really good pitching that I think we kind of overlooked there. And I mean, Ryan Presley had did he have all 4 saves? Well, I don't know if technically the no-hitter was a save, right?
I think they saw him in was it 5 straight?
Yeah.
Maybe 6. No,
he pitched in 5 of the games.
5. I'm pretty sure there was all consecutive.
Yeah, he was
it's pretty solid.
He was great. You could have made the argument. I mean, Valdez was dominant when he pitched. I mean, he talked about being consistent. I think if Pena didn't get a hit in every game of the World Series, and his heroics also in Philly, he played really well there. I think that stuck out. So I'm fine with it.
Pena finished with 10 hits, hitting .400. He had 1 home run and 3 ribbies. As I mentioned, first rookie position player to win the award. Framber Valdez finished 2-0 with 12 1/3, 2 earned runs, 18 Ks, and only allowed 6 hits and 5 walks.
Yeah, that's pretty dominant.
18 Ks.
Hitting .400 and a guy. I mean, you could have made the case for either. And again, these unsung heroes that people don't really know much about. Well, if you're a baseball fan, you're going to figure out. You heard about Valdez from we talked about earlier in the year or end of the season. But Pena was a guy that people talked about, but honestly, we talked a little bit about for the show. But he's got to be he had to have been he is the most underrated rookie, and he turned out to be. Is he the most impactful because they won? Or would you still give that to J-Rod? Or even Adley?
I think, isn't the voting before the postseason?
Yeah,
I feel like we ask this every year.
Pena's not going to win Rookie of the Year. It's not going to be close with that. But what I'm saying is, after seeing this, and even if you go back and look at Pena's stats and playing shortstop, should he have deserved more acknowledgement?
Oh, for sure.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean, he finished with 22 bombs, wins the ALCS MVP, World Series MVP. Like, just his year as a whole was phenomenal. And there were some lulls for sure. Like he cooled off at times, but for a rookie, asking a rookie to come in and fill the shoes of what was like your guy at short, and to do what he did and the way that he did it, especially, I mean, I don't know what percentage of Astros fans adored Carlos Correa versus what percentage were like, all right, this dude is, he needs to step back for just a bit. He needs to cool off. So I don't know what that breakdown was. But for Jermy Pena to just come in and like with the story about it, like with his mom and the heart and all that, like it is just a far more likable guy. And again, to do what he did after being asked to fill those shoes, it's all the more impressive.
So I just looked up his numbers, and I understand it's not gonna relate to the other guys that we've mentioned. But again, you're replacing a face of that, besides Altuve and Bregman. Correa is obviously a face that was there, and he is an all-star caliber player. But Pena came in, hit 250, had 22 homers, 20 doubles, and 2 triples while playing a very solid shortstop. You know, was he the Gold Glove Award winner, I believe, as well?
How many games did he start?
Played 136. So he didn't play. Obviously, he's missing then 26. But still,
that's pretty good for a rookie.
Well, I think they were still kind of up in the air for the first month or so. Yeah, I don't think he was the starting shortstop to begin the season. Was he?
I can't remember exactly.
It wasn't. No, I don't think it was like I don't think he had it solidified. No.
Right. I mean, yeah, definitely deserves some credit.
512 chances. He had 19 errors. And again, as a rookie, I understand that you can look at the 19 errors, but man, you're coming in and you're replacing one of the most iconic figures in Houston's history into what he did. We should have given him more credit, but because of the other superstar rookies, he slipped underneath. Yeah. And obviously, he's great. I mean, do you guys like him? He's a likable guy, right? Even though he plays for Houston?
I just wish he played for I just wish he played for somebody else, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Yeah.
Okay, but that's all I need to hear.
You can sit back and enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, you can sit back and enjoy good baseball and appreciate good baseball. And I definitely
Houston,
understand
you need
that.
guys like him to come in and like help eradicate that image, because otherwise it's never going to go away.
Yeah. I think did you see the interview? I mean, I'm assuming we saw the interview with Correa.
Right. Yeah. Back in the studio.
Right. And then Correa telling that story earlier in the postseason. He's like, I went up to Jeremy and told him, that, you're going to be the guy. You're going to be the guy now. I'm leaving. And it's like, stop, dude. Like, you don't get to put your handprint on this and say, you helped Jermy Pena be Jeremy Pena. Go away. And that's something that the Astros, I think, can and Astros fans can be excited about. It's like, it's the new guy, and he's quieter, and he's a little more humble, and he's a little less in your face. And I think he's got to stay that way. You know what I mean? I think he's got to stay pretty low key. I don't think I want to see him as the new villain.
But that's the thing, is I don't think he will. If the Astros stay relevant, he could be the main guy that changes this perception of how people view. Because to me, I love the way he handles himself. I thought he was great. He's likable, which is off-brand for being an Astro right now, as far as for the majority. So we'll see. I'm really happy for him. Awesome. And I hope to see him to continue. And also remind you, he not only turned out to be such a big part, he was one of the cheapest options for the Astros.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you go up and down that entire lineup, like that whole roster, really. I mean, they built that, and they got some guys for cheap, and they developed them. And to that point, I got to give them credit. Like, That's impressive. I mean, you say what you will about the scandal and all that, but the fact that they were smart with their acquisitions, they were smart with their development, like that can be the source of a dynasty. Now, of course, you have to go out and win, and you have to keep those guys around, and you have to win more than just the ALCS, as we've talked about. But like they've got the blueprint that other teams want. Whether or not they want to admit it, they've got the blueprint that other teams want, and that's just the reality of it.
Well, Pena, Framber, Yordan, all under 25. Tucker, I believe, as well. So
it's a good nucleus. Not even a good. Yeah. It's a great nucleus.
Yeah. This, I think, moving forward, we can have this conversation after maybe, I'd say, at least 2 more rings within the next 6 years, and we can exclude 2017 conversation. We could say if this core stays together going forward, then yes.
Yeah, like if you want to be a dynasty, win so much to the point where 2017 doesn't even have to be a factor. Like win right. Another one, win a third one beyond 2017, and then we won't even have to worry about it. Right. But until then, sorry.
Well, then you can put your money where your mouth is, like Mattress Mac. Just put it down on the Stros if you're that confident. No one was a bigger winner than Mattress Mac, by the way.
Well, that's just a fact. That's just a fact.
No one won bigger in Houston or the world.
He does this every year, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So and he just waits for it to pan out. I mean, not that I'm like taking anything away from him. I mean, it's incredible that he.
I
think 75 million?
Something like I think whatever he's bet in the past, he definitely made that back.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't he bet some other stuff too? Why do I feel like he was betting the Rockets like a few years ago?
He bet the Titans. He's betting a ton of things, but I just remember him popping up. You know what? If you believe in your team, especially just moving forward from not endorsing that you go and bet here, people. But if you endorse your team as much, like he did for the Astros, I think he put down like four different bets at different odds for the Astros throughout the year. Man kept doubling down and tripling down and quadrupling down. So hey, Nate's going to do that next year for the Yankees.
No.
Yeah.
Kyle, no, maybe Red Sox.
Nothing for this guy. But I will say, if you are interested in betting and you want to, hop in a little group chat with some other people that share that interest, or if you just want to hop in a group chat with baseball fans that don't want to gamble and you just want to talk some ball, you need to get on our chalkboard. The off season is here. We're gonna be dicing it up all off season, and just in. They're now on Android.
There you go.
I know we've had some folks waiting for that. They're now on Android, so you can join the party. But it's a great time to bring up one of the questions from our questions for the pod channel. I figured I'd highlight one. Anthony asks, is the team that loses in the championship the best or worst loser? He says, hear me out. Are they the best loser because they're the last to lose, or the worst loser because they didn't lose enough? Do you need me to run through that one more time?
The worst.
No, I got
loser. It. It's like a riddle.
It's too late for these brain teasers.
Riddle me that. Question me that. Best or worst loser?
I feel like I'm a very linear thinker, I'm going to need to think through this.
I don't think it's as black and white as the question makes it out to be. I think it's a gray area depending on that team that loses. I think, and this is coming from a guy that does feel like it's the mentality is championship or bust. I think has to be the mentality for every organization. But when you look at the Phillies, I think this was a very successful year. We've already went over, some huge advancements that they made and that they're most likely going to make moving forward. And I think that's a different story compared to a Dodgers team that, spends twice as much, or a Yankees team that has all the hype, and it's those are a different conversation. I think it just depends on the loser.
So in this case, in that argument, just so everyone understands specifically, I understand, because that's what matters right now. You're saying, so if this was the Dodgers and the 111 win team, they get to the World Series and lose. That's obviously far more disappointing, and that would fit your theory.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And the Phillies on the flip side barely get in there, enjoy the ride, fall short, but hey, that was amazing.
Yeah, because we weren't supposed to be here anyway, kind of.
So that's mentality. The Phillies are the best loser, and the Dodgers, if they made it, would have been the worst.
Right.
Okay.
Just so we're clear, I'm not a proponent of the we weren't supposed to be here mindset. To me,
I'm not saying anyone in that clubhouse is.
No. And I'm not saying they are, but I'm just saying for example, when we're making our pre-series predictions for each step along the way, I'm looking at each team as though they're supposed to be there, minus the Mets. But I'm looking at every team as though they're supposed to be there, and I'm evaluating my pick based on that reality. So when it comes time for the World Series, I'm not going, okay, well, I'm going, which I didn't, but I'm not going, I'm going Astros in 5 because I'll give the Phillies a game, but the Astros are really the team that belongs here. They're going to win the World Series. It's a shoo-in. I've already talked at length about how you can't write anything off when it comes time for October or November for that matter. But if you're the Phillies and it's time to make a pick, I'm looking at you going, you know what? You had to go through a lot to get here. So I'm going to give you the respect you deserve, and I'm going to make my pick based on that. I'm not going to roll over and say, well, you know what? I'm not going to go like Mike Ford with the Yankees, just happy to be here. I'm just happy to be here. Cuz that's you go through far too much to get to the point that you do to just say, well, it was a good run. No, you play to win the game.
So what's your answer?
I would say the best loser? Because you're the last to lose?
Yeah. Yeah, you're the best of the losers, right? Is that how it's supposed to be?
That's how I'm interpreting it. Yeah.
I think you're
the best of the worst, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you either win or you lose, and there's only one winner. But if you're the last to fall, then you're the best domino in my opinion.
But again, let me give you my scenario. Replace Phillies with Dodgers. Do you say the same thing?
Yeah, because you're the last domino to fall. I don't think I think you can swap in any team you want, but if you're the last to fall,
you think it's hitting the same? I don't think it hits the same.
But how is it? I guess what I'm confused on is how is it hitting for you if the Dodgers lose? Because to me, it's you lose. The Phillies, you lose. You didn't win. To me, it is kind of. I know you mentioned there's a little gray, but it's pretty black and white.
The gray area is expectations. It's the pre-season expectations, mid-season expectations, and entering postseason expectations.
No, and but I guess for my reasoning though, that doesn't necessarily impact my decision at all because the expectations play for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But you're still, regardless what your expectations were, if you're the last loser to fall, if you will, that accounts for something. Sure, it doesn't count for anything in the history books when it's all said and done, but
so if the worst loser is the least amount of wins.
No, for sure.
Couldn't we also
you just suck.
Right.
Couldn't we just argue this then? Just to add to this riddle conundrum. Wouldn't the World Series champion be the worst loser?
That's a great point.
I've been I was coming up with a different word here, but I've been thinking about that since it was asked, and then as you guys were talking, I'm just pondering.
Yeah,
you just added a fifth dimension to this question.
Yeah, and that's not I shouldn't say that. I'm capable of that, but I was really excited to share that.
That's an extremely valid point.
Yeah.
And
what gets wetter as it dries?
A towel.
Good. Is ketchup a smoothie?
No, stop. We're not getting into this.
Okay, now that's
we'll save
where we
that
draw
for
the line.
We'll save that for the real off season. We're still reeling a little bit.
Can we believe it's the off? Do you guys feel okay about it? You know,
I am dead inside, Ryan. I'm dead inside.
Wrong person.
Everything
Kyle,
is hurting.
Nate. Okay, wrong person asked that question too. Kyle, does it feel?
It's not gonna set in probably for like another week maybe, because right now it just feels like a travel day. Like for some reason I just feel like we're going back to Philly for some consolation. I don't know, but it doesn't feel like it's the off season right now, and I'm okay with that. I'm just gonna ride this feeling as long as I can, and then I will gradually come to terms with the fact that we're entering a long, dark, cold off season.
I've mentally moved on to all of us hanging out at the World Baseball Classic.
You know what? I just was talking about it this past weekend. About World Baseball Classic is a thing. Invite your friends. Anyone that's listening. Maybe there'll be a get together. Maybe even a tailgate outside.
Yeah, let's hang out here. Yeah, everybody come hang out in Phoenix.
That is going to be wild.
Ryan's going to take his private jet. He might let Kyle on. We'll see.
Who is sponsoring that jet?
Manscaped.
Yeah, use the promo code 30take. Take 20% off worldwide free shipping. You know the drill. We don't need to run through that. Shout out Manscaped. Take care of your family jewels.
Also, SeatGeek. They sell plane tickets.
Yeah,
no,
dude, I don't have that.
That'd be wild. SeatGeek really is missing out on a big market there. I think they need to get.
You're right, man. Like everybody's always looking for a deal on an airline ticket because there's
this a new line?
Yeah,
but you guys might have opened up a whole new business.
I think Nate needs to apply for a job there.
Genius. You're welcome, SeatGeek. Free advice.
Yeah, I don't have the heart to promote SeatGeek right now because...
What are we going to go see?
I just assume that everybody that listens is a diehard baseball fan and nothing else, even though I know that's the furthest thing from reality. It helps me sleep at night when I just think that we just have diehards listening. But I know there's been people that have been checked out for weeks, maybe months at this point. So I don't know. But I mean, I guess fine. 3-0 take, all caps. Use promo code SeatGeek. Take $20 off your first purchase. You know the drill. That's all I can give you at this point. If you had to rate, kind of wrapping things up here, if you had to give this World Series a grade, what would you give it?
Letter grade or number grade?
Let's go number grade. Give me a decimal with it too.
Out of 10.
Let's get specific. Yep. 10 being I'm trying to think of a World Series to compare it to. 10 being 2016. Just baseball ecstasy. What are you giving it?
I don't know, but that's not getting a 10.
I'd give it a 7 point.
I would say that a lot of baseball fans would disagree, but that's just me. Anyway,
I'm going to give it a 7.13. We're going to move to the 100th decimal.
Wow.
I thought the first 3 games, energy, like game 1 actually, just like off the bat, unbelievable game 1. Game 2, a little bit slower. Game 3, energy through the roof. Game 4 and 5 were entertaining. And even game 6, I thought all the games to an extent were entertaining, and that's what you wanted as a fan. And there were those tense moments, and whether or not you liked it, it was still Alvarez's home run was still it will be an iconic moment for Astros fans. It was good. I love the atmospheres also. I thought Philly's atmosphere added to the element as well. So 7.12?
Hold on.
You can round up or down.
Nate, before you give your score, you got me thinking over here. So if the Cubs using the rain delay to break the curse isn't a 10 for you, what is a 10? World Series wise.
Oh wait, you said I'm
kind of one of the I'm one of those guys that's just like there's no such thing as a 10.
Okay.
You know, what I mean, you have the perfect slice
Okay,
of
but
pizza.
since we're
It's
talking
still
about
not a
dynasty,
10. You can't
since we're
have
talking
a 10.
about dynasties and the closest thing to a dynasty, what's the closest thing to your 10 World Series?
I don't
That's
like
close.
that jab.
That's close.
Hey, no, if the shoe fits, if the shoe fits.
I don't like that jab. But
I don't
Nate,
know.
answer the question.
I don't know what to tell you. If the
That's
shoe
close.
fits.
That's close.
Is
Can you
that the
think of-
closest?
Can you think of one that tops it?
I mean, the Joe Carter walk-off for the Blue Jays,
Well, yeah, okay.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of...
I mean, I was more so thinking
that's
like
probably...
I was thinking like recency, but yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
not
I think
terribly
that's-
far away.
Yeah. I don't know.
Great
That's just
call.
one to kind of rattle it off.
Great
Right.
call on that.
Yeah, I
Touch
mean
them all, Joe.
a walk off to win it. Yeah, I'd say that's
Reggie
pretty
Jackson, 3 home run game.
Good. Now we're going to the archives. All right,
You know what
fair
I mean?
enough.
I think there's some stuff we could dig
Sure,
into.
for sure.
But
For
I'm
this
gonna give
one,
it
what are you giving it?
a 4.8.
Okay, dude. Is that how many minutes of it you watched?
Correct. 4.8.
Seconds.
Games 1, 2, 3 were good.
I mean, game 4 was also, you can lump that in there as well.
Stupid. No hitters are not no hitters. And
No, combined no hitters are not no hitters. It's
combined
a
no
no
hitters
hitter,
are
but
not
it's
no
not
hitters.
it's not a no hitter.
The postponement was stupid. So yeah, 4.8.
All right, Kyle,
The
take us home with it.
in-game interviews in the dugout, stupid. Need I say more? Framber Valdez definitely rubbing substances off of his palm. 4.8.
Bryce, that was a huge hit you had up there. What were you thinking when you're up at the plate? Well, I was just looking for a pitch to hit, and he just put it right there for me, and I was able to do some damage with it and put our team
So
ahead. And I'm just
stupid.
trying to help the team win.
And yeah, ban in-game interviews.
What are we doing, Kenny?
Stupid.
Come on.
Stupid.
No one wants to do that. No one wants to do that.
All right,
Just go move on. Yes,
So,
Kyle, go.
so Nate says 4.8. Ryan says 7.12.
3. He said 1.3.
1.3. Pretty sure
Was
he
it
said 7.1.
1.3?
Pretty sure he says 1.2, but that's fine.
I think I might have said 1.2 or 1.3. You can round up or down, your choice.
Man, this really puts me in a bad spot because I think I was going to come in a lot higher, but now I'm just going to sound like a... No, you know what? I'm going to go hard here. I'm going to say 7.8. 7.8, because if a World Series, like, say what you want about the outcome, who won it, but if a World Series, in my opinion, if they can provide you 4 quality games, which they did, well, I mean more, depending upon which side of the ball you're on. If they can provide you 4 quality games, which those first 4, in my opinion, were all fantastic, that puts you in pretty good standing. So I'm gonna go 7.8.
I like it.
No.
I like that, and I respect.
Nate just hates everything right now. I don't know what to tell you. There's a little part of him that really thought the Yankees could do it this year. Really thought that this was the year.
Genuinely have nothing to root for.
It's all right. I can't wait till we get more into the offseason and it's free agency and Correa's a Yankee. And
Oh God, it's gonna suck.
can't wait.
It's gonna really suck.
You know what happened? You know what's gonna happen if Correa signs with the Yankees? I'm gonna just do everything that you hate, Nate. I'm gonna get you a Correa jersey, and on top of that, I'm gonna get a replica to where it has his last name on it because I know you hate those. But I'm gonna make it so that there's no getting around the fact that it's a Correa jersey. That's what I'm gonna do.
That's a huge slap in the face there. I felt that pain.
It's incredibly insulting, but I'm here for it. I'm here for the pettiness.
Yes, you are. Closest thing. Don't think I forgot that.
Stupid.
I mean, if the shoe fits, man, I don't know what to say.
It's great to be back with you guys. It really is.
That's all I got. You guys, we appreciate that, Ryan. We really do. You got any parting thoughts for the people? Does anybody have any parting thoughts for the people? Before you share that, I guess an update on the schedule moving forward. I don't know. But we are in the off season, And that means we'll be back to once a week, which I know Nate in particular is just thrilled about. Because he hates doing this. He just hates it. No, but yeah, we'll be back to once a week. So we'll let you know. I think in the past we usually do like Thursday or Friday, but we'll see. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's all I got for the folks. Unless you guys got anything to share before we wrap it up.
What do you got, right guy?
Okay, I'll go. Honestly, I really thought happy with the World Series. I think we're going to have some spiciness in the offseason, so I'm excited to dive in. But baseball playoff wise, did not disappoint. Hope everyone enjoyed. Cannot wait for some spiciness, though, for the offseason. And as always, guys, it's a great day to have a day or night, depending on when you're listening to this. See you next time.
Thanks for hanging on. Thanks for chilling with us all year. It's been a good year. Lots of ups and downs, a lot of crazy stuff being said, a lot of wrong things being said, mostly by me. But it was a year, where Ryan says have a day. It was a year. I don't know if it was good. I don't know if it was bad, but it was a year. It's in the books. And this offseason is going to bring a lot of tears to a lot of people, I think.
That's called self-foreshadowing.
Yeah, that seemed very
my own tears
self-reflective.
specifically. Yeah, my own tears.
Very ominous. I love it. I'm here for it. Can't wait. I'm excited.
I know you are.
I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
Cool. Good stuff. Don't go chasing curveballs.
We love you all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.